Curse of the Kichai Shaman. Chapter 22. New Assassins. Venator, Diane, and Richard stayed at Monaco's house in Goldthwaite, Texas, and laid low for 3 days. Each passing day, Richard became more agitated that David Madure was still alive. Richard only slept about 3 hours a night and was barely eating. The curse was driving him mad. Finally, on Sunday the 15th of October, Richard went to Venator and told him that they had to do something about David. Richard said he would pay however much money it would take to put David in the grave. So, the night of the 15th, Venator made a phone call to Sicarius Monachus in Lucas, Kansas. Venator spoke his Latin phrase, and Sicarius answered with his Latin phrase. Once they did that, they began to speak freely. Venator told him that he had a job for him using his special skills and asked, "How much would it cost to get rid of somebody?" Sicarius told him that his cost was $25,000, and that he only worked with his brother Oxysor, and that his brother would need $25,000 also. Venator was next to Richard when he made the call, so he turned and told him that Sicarius Monachus and his brother Oxysor Monachus could kill David for $50,000. Richard agreed to wire them the money the next day. Sicarius gave Venator 2 account numbers and told Venator to wire $25,000 into each of them, and they would do the job. Venator wrote the account numbers down in code and gave the slip of paper to Richard. The next morning, Monday the 16th of October, Richard called his accountant, who was a member of the Order of Nergal. They spoke their Latin phrases to identify each other, and Richard had him wire $25,000 into each of these 2 accounts, and he gave him the numbers. Later on Monday afternoon, Sicarius called Venator and told him that he had received the money and was on the job. Venator gave him the address to Monaco's house on Rimrock Road in Goldthwaite, Texas, and told him to meet him there. Sicarius and Oxysor Monachus's real names were Tyler and Andrew Walsh. Tyler was 29 and Andrew was 26. They went by their Latin names when dealing with the members of the Order of Nergal, but had never legally changed their names. They were trust fund kids whose father had made millions of dollars investing in the aviation industry in Kansas. They had joined the Order of Nergal 7 years earlier and had claimed to be assassins who had done multiple jobs, although in reality, they had never killed anyone. They had collected the tools used in the assassin trade. They had a laptop computer with a Wi-Fi hotspot that could hook to remote cameras that had magnetic bases so that they could spy on people. They also had GPS tracking devices that had magnetic bases that they could track with their laptop. They both carried a Glock 22 pistol in .40 caliber and had Kydex waistband holsters for concealed carry. They lived in Lucas, Kansas in a big home with just each other. They did not go on dates or otherwise socialize with other people. They lived alone, did not drink or do drugs, and considered themselves monks in the Order of Nergal. The evening of Monday, October 16th, they began to pack for their trip to Texas. They each took a suitcase with clothes, and they packed a cooler with water and stuff to make sandwiches. They took their laptop and a carry bag with the cameras, GPS locators, and .40 caliber S&W ammunition. They carried their Glock 22 pistols in their waistband holsters. They put everything in their black 2022 Jeep Gladiator and got on the road at a little after 8 p.m. that evening. Oxysor took the first shift driving while Sicarius tried to sleep. He took KS 156 south until he got to US 56, then drove from US 56 and took US 183, and then OK 34. They stopped and got gas at Sonny's in Granite, Oklahoma at 12:48 a.m. in the morning. Sicarius then took over driving and Oxysor tried to sleep. They continued on OK 34, then took OK 6 for 100 miles. Then they took US 183 until they got to Goldthwaite, Texas. They pulled into Monaco's house on a 127 Rimrock Road at 6:13 a.m. Tuesday morning, the 17th of October. They called Venator on the phone. After saying their Latin phrases, they told Venator that they were in the driveway. Venator had been asleep and told them it would be a few minutes because he had to get dressed. Eventually, Venator made it outside and let the brothers into Monaco's house. Monaco was still asleep, but he had set up a 5th bedroom for the brothers. This bedroom had 2 twin beds. Venator took them and showed them where this bedroom was. Then Venator helped them carry in their stuff by taking their cooler to the kitchen. The brothers were exhausted from the trip, and after bringing in their stuff, they went to sleep in the bedroom Monaco had provided. They only slept for about 4 hours and got up at 10:12 a.m. Tuesday morning. Monaco made the brothers a big breakfast of eggs, bacon, toast, and oatmeal. After they had eaten, Venator sat at the breakfast table with them and got out his laptop. He went to David's YouTube channel, and they watched several videos while Venator pointed out things like David's truck was a silver Dodge Ram 2500 and what his house at 6421 Clearview Drive looked like. Venator also gave them his hotel address in Navasota as well as the address to Washington on the Brazos. He warned them that David kept a camera in his truck pointed at the hood, and if they wanted to get near it, they should approach from the side. The brothers went back to bed and slept until 10 p.m. Tuesday night. They then woke up and planned their route to Navasota. Venator gave them $2,000 in cash. They took their Glock 22s, their laptop, and the carry bag with cameras and GPS trackers. They packed some food and drinks in their cooler and left Motoko's house a little after 10:30 p.m. That night, they stopped at Exxon and filled up the tank of their Jeep Gladiator. They drove down US 84 and then took TX 36. From TX 36, they took TX 53 until they got to FM 485 and then took that. They finally got on US 79 and pulled into Navasota. It was a little after 1:35 a.m. on Wednesday morning when they found David's hotel, the Comfort Inn and Suites, and cased the parking lot. They spotted David's silver Dodge Ram 2500 from a distance. Sicarius, who was driving, parked across the parking lot and let Oxysor out. Oxysor had taken a magnetic GPS locator with him and approached David's truck from the side and put the magnetic GPS locator under the left rear tire well up inside the fender where it could not be seen. He then backtracked from David's truck, staying on the side and out of view of the camera that faced the hood. Oxysor rejoined his brother Sicarius in their Jeep Gladiator, and they drove 3 more hours back to Goldthwaite, Texas, filled up with gas at the Exxon station, and went to Motoko's house. It was after 5 a.m. in the morning of Wednesday the 18th of October when they arrived back. The brothers slept in shifts and spent Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday monitoring David's movements back and forth between Navasota and the Washington on the Brazos historical site. On Friday evening, they saw David come back to his home in Austin. They quickly packed up their cooler, laptop, a carry bag with their spy stuff and a change of clothes, and drove to Austin, arriving at the Holiday Inn Austin Midtown at 15 minutes to 10 p.m. that Friday night on the 20th of October. They checked in and paid for the weekend in cash. Then they went out and drove by David's house and could see his truck parked there. They went back to the hotel, and Sicarius went to sleep while Oxysor monitored the laptop that showed David's truck's location. They switched places every 4 hours so that they could monitor his truck's location around the clock. They watched and waited for a weakness to appear.